Perfect streaming. All right. What's up, guys? Aaron from Metro East Libertarians here, coming to you with a live stream. Part of what I'm doing here is I'm kind of just testing my system out because we are going to do a live stream of the Libertarian Party of Illinois convention. So that's big announcement number one, if you will. First time that I know of that we're going to be streaming the convention, and we're going to be doing that depending upon the internet quality at the hotel is going to kind of determine, what we're really able to do with that. But hopefully we're going to bring you good quality, and you're going to be able to enjoy it. Look, if you're on the fence about going to the convention, go to the convention. It's really fun. It's a good time. You're going to get to meet Larry Sharp. You're going to hear him speak live. There's going to be a ton of great people there. Get to meet all these activists that are doing. They're basically making everything happen around the state, and it's a great time. For all those people that think, they're not sure about the LP, and you got this vision of LP is this, LP is that, come to our convention in this state and learn from yourself, learn firsthand. So I think that'll clear a lot of things up. One thing I do want to address, and I see this a lot on social media and things like that, is this idea that a lot of the products that we put out are bad or Bush League quality. I know Gary Johnson came to Chicago, and I saw comments on a live stream from his speech in Chicago saying, who's running this camera? Why is everything, second rate? You've heard me gripe about this before, that, we don't have Fox News following us around. We don't have MSNBC beating down our door to stream everything for us, to put everything on TV. One of these days I'll do a live stream just about the system that I put together to be able to do this, and it costs a ton of money. I got a bunch of money in this, and I'm not griping, but I'm just saying, the libertarian groups around the country are not necessarily going to be expected. I mean, you can't expect them to do that, but just to bring you content that you appreciate the quality or whatever, make it TV quality content. So, getting into what I want to talk to you about today, and again, I just kind of threw this together because I'm benchmarking my system. These recent protests have been going on. I'm sure you've heard about them out of Berkeley, California, the one at NYU, and there was another one somewhere. I don't remember where it was. Basically, and the idea of the protests at the inauguration where Richard Spencer got sucker punched, basically. We're going to talk about those. Okay, so at NYU, just to lay the groundwork, at NYU you had that professor at the protest. At least she can't claim to be a professor. She's at the protest and she's screaming at the police to attack Gavin McInnes, who was speaking there. And I don't know if she was calling on to attack his supporters or whatever. I think she was. She was saying these are all neo-Nazis and you're protecting neo-Nazis and you need to go beat them up, because these other students are here to learn about humanity and compassion and things like that, and so they shouldn't be expected to engage in violent behavior. Okay, well, I agree with her there. We don't expect those people to engage in violence, but she was basically saying, police, you guys are violent, so go ahead and use your violence for what I want it for, which is interesting. That's kind of that's the liberal position, is that they want the force of the state to enforce their ideas and carry out their will, if you will, and that's what we're opposed to as libertarians. Now, Berkeley, California, that one was a little bit more violent. There was actual people getting beat up. There's people getting pepper sprayed. All this stuff's on camera. I was going to play some of these clips, but a lot of them are profanity laced, and I try to keep these streams clean. You can go find these on YouTube easily. They're mind blowing. Some of it's terrifying. The level of violence that these people are enacting. Now, the thing with Berkeley, California is, there's some debate on who the people were that were beating these other attendees up, right? They got pipes and stuff, and they're pepper spraying, they're doing all this stuff. There's some debate as to who these groups are and what they're doing, or who's behind them. Is this a grassroots movement, or is this like the conspiracy being, is it George Soros doing this kind of stuff? I don't have the answer to that. What I do know about that, and also what went on at the inauguration, things like that, is that as libertarians, there's two things that we can learn from this. As libertarians, our number one concern about any group is, are they violent? Is it okay? Does somebody believe that it's okay to bring violence against peaceful people? Now, in the case of some of these protests, yes, they obviously did bring violence against peaceful people. Now, how do they justify that violence? Well, the way they're justifying it is, and this is what I think we need to pay attention to, the way they're justifying it is they're saying that the speech and the opinions from the people that they're protesting against are equivocal, or are equivalent, to violence, to actual violence. There was one protester that yelled out at a rally, I don't remember which one, that this person's words raped and killed my family. Okay, now that's a stretch, right? That you've really got a solid argument to say that somebody said something, and then that directly resulted in violence against you. I mean, you've got to prove that. That's on your, that's on you. And then, in my opinion, you still got to prove that the people you're attacking were somehow, directly responsible for that. Anyway, obviously, making that argument with me is going to be an uphill battle. I hope other libertarians feel the same way. But what's in there, what's embedded in there, is this idea that these ideas are violent, and they're labeling them as neo-Nazis. They're labeling them as white supremacists. White nationalist has been used. That's actually a term that can be applied to that Richard Spencer fellow. I do believe he self-identifies as a white nationalist. But white supremacist, fascist. So these people are using the term Antifa or anti-fa or something, I don't know. I'm for fa when we're talking about the Vietnamese fa. I love that. But Antifa, I think it's got to do with like anti-fascist. So they're labeling these people fascists and neo-Nazis and things like that. And they're saying, okay, well, since these people are this way, then we can use violence against them, or at least we can protest against them loudly, shout them down, shut down their events, those types of things. What I'm getting at is, with that, the three people that I know of that recently, Milo Yiannopoulis, Gavin McInnes, and Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer aside, and I'm not coming to the defense of these people, okay, but let's just as a thought, as a way to see where this is going, let's talk about each one of these individuals and what they believe. Milo Yiannopoulis, okay, he's not really saying anything that would have been controversial if Sean Hannity said it. And in fact, I think Sean Hannity has said a lot of the things that Milo Yiannopoulis says. I hate Sean Hannity, by the way. I don't like anything that guy has to say. But it's not controversial. I mean, it's mainstream political thought, honestly. This idea that even there's this lefty guy out there, Sam Harris. I think he's a lefty. I'm not really sure. Sam Harris is saying all the same things. Islam is dangerous. The people in Islam oppress their women. They believe in Sharia law, which is anti-freedom. Those types of things. These are not, like, them oppressing their women and believing in Sharia law and stuff. Those things are not controversial. I mean, that's true, right? The degree to which Islam as an ideology is dangerous, that's up for debate. So the thing is that you can debate Milo, right? You can say, okay, well, here are my counterpoints. You don't have to use violence. And again, 90% of what he has to say is just facts, and then he'll throw his opinion in there, like here are some facts, and then here's my opinion about where those facts lead. I don't know. I mean, that's pretty standard procedure. Now, he does it, his style is a little more provocative or whatever. That's on him. But here's the thing is that, people have made him more popular than he ever would have become on his own, the people that hate him. And after that Berkeley protest, there were a ton of Google searches about Milo Yiannopoulis. People wanted to understand why this guy was so controversial. So he got the protests themselves actually led to a lot more exposure to his ideas. Now, I don't like a lot of the stuff he has to say, because he's kind of like, he's like, oh, we got all these problems with this and that, and people like Rudy Giuliani. He's a big fan of Rudy Giuliani. Like, oh, these guys got the answers. I'm like, man, give me a break, man. Rudy Giuliani, are you kidding me? moving forward to, oh, and by the way, lefties, or, progressives, whatever you guys want to call yourselves, you can't have it both ways on the Muslim thing, right? So, like, I was recently driving through Atlanta. I assume it was a progressive or liberal group that put this up. There was a big sign in Atlanta near the airport saying, boycott Qatar Airways because Qatar Air, they oppress women, women's rights, and all these types of things, and, they're an aggressive country, state-run company, everything. It's like, oh, okay, well, when you say it, it's okay. First of all, Qatar Airways is not unique to the Middle East. Their policies, Qatar's one of the more westernized countries in the Middle East, and other countries like Saudi Arabia Yemen, to some extent Egypt before they were thrown. I don't know about now. A lot of the African countries, East African countries, they're much worse, right? So, but you're going up against Qatar Airways, for the same thing that every one of these Middle Eastern countries is doing. But then when Milo Yiannopoulis says something about it, well, that's hate speech. He's saying the same thing you are, honestly. So anyway, moving forward. Gavin McInnes, first of all, co-founder of Vice. I really kind of like Vice. They put out a lot of neat stuff. It's thought-provoking. It's stuff that you don't see in the mainstream media. So I'm not really sure what he's guilty of. He's on this like men's rights kind of thing. I think he's another alt-right type of person. But he's on about the men's rights, right? So again, he takes some facts that do point to like disparities against men. Like men are in more dangerous occupations, they have more workplace injuries and fatalities and things like that, and he used those as evidence against the women's rights movement. Okay, but the thing is, there's nothing really dangerous about that. He may be right, he may be wrong. He's got his numbers, the women's rights movement has their numbers. Okay, you guys can get together, pair them up, talk about it. There's nothing dangerous about it. Okay? Moving on to this Richard Spencer guy. Supposedly the founder of the alt-right, or maybe the originator of the term alt-right, something to that effect. Okay, this guy, I just watched a couple interviews with him, one with Al Jazeera. This dude's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Let's be honest. The guy's just nuts. He's got this idea that America was founded by white people, therefore it's for white people. Everybody else needs to stay out. I don't really think, he really just said he wants closed borders, right? So, white nationalist, absolutely perfect description for this guy. But now you can't really go from white nationalist to neo-Nazi. That's where you make a logical fallacy. Okay, so, and then furthermore, the idea that somebody's a Nazi, well, let's stick to the immigration thing real quick. Anyway, I really feel like you can just strike this guy's argument down. I mean, you can just use pretty simple logic to say, hey, we're not the rest of the world, we're not every other country who closes off their borders and protects their culture and says this is what it is. This is a land of opportunity. And he makes plenty of ridiculous arguments. Like that's just a philosophical argument. He makes other ridiculous arguments like only Europeans have accomplished X, Y, and Z and all this stuff. Man, that is bullcrap. You mean to tell me that you can't easily look back in history and look at the advances to civilization that have come out of all these other societies, right? I mean, the Africans, the Middle Easterns, the people in East Asia. I mean, all of these people have documented major contributions to the life that we live today. And he's trying to discard all of them and say, no, that was all Europeans. I mean, it's easily disproved, right? So the guy's not really a threat. So to sucker punch him, engage in violence against him, when you can easily just trounce his argument, it's super childish. And these people that are justifying it, you can't justify violence. Okay. Anyway, I just want to get back to immigration real quick. A couple things about immigration. A couple things about immigration. One is the ideas that Richard Spencer has are mainstream ideas in most of your Asian countries, first of all. Okay? The Japanese, the Koreans, the Chinese, the Malaysians, maybe to a lesser extent, Thailand and like South Indochina type of countries. definitely Pakistan, definitely Middle Eastern countries as well. You're not them. You don't belong there, okay? Their race is superior to your race, and you're not welcome in their country. That is absolutely a fact. So, first of all, if we're going to have a real conversation about whose ideas are hateful and whose ideas are not welcome and equivalent to violence, let's talk about like most of the rest of the world. Like it's westernized countries that have liberal immigration policies. It's more eastern countries that have regressive policies. That's a fact. So I'm really tired of being lectured about that idea, while at the same time I'm the one that says, hey, we're not them, right? Japan can be racist and xenophobic against everybody else, and we're not Japan. We let people in. The Japanese can come here. The ones that don't want to stay in their culture or whatever, they can come here. The Koreans, same thing. And you know what? Our culture and the society that people have created here, the Japanese and the Koreans and the Chinese and all those people, they come here and they live together in harmony and they work together. They do business together. It's great, right? Capitalism solves all these types of issues if you let people do it. To some extent, the same is true in the Middle East, that those people want to do business with us. They may not like our religion. They may not, Middle Eastern people and Jewish people may not get along, but in Manhattan, they're getting along just fine, right? They're serving each other, trading with each other, doing everything. I mean, our culture solves these problems. So to say there's something wrong with us is backwards. So the progressives, I'm sorry, you've lost that argument. Anyway, so to address, so anyway, what I'm getting on with these guys, Richard Spencer and Milo Yiannopoulis and Gavin McInnes, I'm kind of rambling, but those guys are being labeled fascists, neo-Nazis, dangerous, extremists, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be us soon. Pretty soon, somebody is going to come out and say the Libertarians are neo-Nazis. I'm telling you, it's coming. I hope it doesn't. I hope all this violent protests stop, just like I hope this doesn't happen. You've already got people out there that believe that we're behind every bad thing in the world, which, I mean, one of our guys heard at a rally the other day from a sitting alderman in one of the towns down here that the Libertarians caused the war in Iraq in order to usher in some sort of libertarian utopia. You can't make this stuff up. These people believe this nonsense, and they don't like us. It's only a matter of time before we get lumped in with them. You've already got Robert Reich out there saying that it's really the conservatives that are doing all this violence at these rallies, and it's not the liberals. Okay, so they're already trying to flip the script on people. I'm telling you, we're next. So I feel like we need to be ready for that. One last thought on the immigration, and because I got to pick on the people from the right for just a second. Since I actually had to go listen to Richard Spencer a little bit. I had to go listen to Gavin McInnes a little bit to see what their arguments really are, because I didn't know about them. I'd heard a little bit from Milo. So the thing is, I keep hearing conservatives say this about immigration, is that we're not against immigration. We're only against illegal immigration. We're for legal immigration. If you come in the front door, you can come here. Okay. Conservatives, and to some extent closed board, anti-immigration or anti-illegal immigration libertarians, if there's such a thing. What you're literally saying, and I got to point this out to you. What you're literally saying is that the same government that brought you all these other problems, right? The Department of Education, the IRS, the war on drugs, the false flag attacks and false intel and everything that led to the war in Iraq and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying false flag attack led to the war in Iraq. Pump the brakes. False flag attacks have led to other wars, and that's a fact. They lie to people. They come up with all these programs. The individual mandate, Obamacare, all the way back to alcohol prohibition, all these kinds of things. The government's just fumbling along. Everything they touch turns to crap, except immigration policy. They nailed it there. They can't run the Veterans Administration effectively. They're running SWAT raids on nonviolent people over raw milk and stuff. But no, they nailed it on immigration. That is literally what you're saying. They can't run a school. They ruin the school system. Come on. These are the same people. This immigration policy comes out of the same people that brought you all these other things that you hate. And the other thing is, I would challenge people. I think people are repeating what they heard on Fox News. They heard some pundit say, we're only talking about illegal immigration. We're only talking about the people that come here illegally. They're lawbreakers. They're criminals. Okay? I really challenge you. I almost guarantee you don't know the first thing about the immigration policy. I'm going to paint with a broad brush and say that that's true. If you do, great. Make your argument about how great it is or where it needs to be reformed or whatever. But in my opinion, it's another government program. It's automatically suspect. And the fact of the matter is, Reason did an analysis of the immigration policy, and they put out a chart. You can Google it. It says, can you navigate the path to legal immigration? Just Google that. Reason. It's from like 2008, so it might be dated, but it's from the end of the Bush era, basically. So get out there and check that out. The fact of the matter is, for the vast majority of people on this planet, there is no path to legally immigrate. Okay, so chew on that. So if you're in war-torn Afghanistan, or you're in drug war-destroyed parts of Mexico or Honduras, the most dangerous place in the world, and you got to get your family out of there, and nobody wants you to come in, but there's this one country that says, send us, you're sick and you're tired and you're poor, and we'll welcome them with open arms. That's what you're going to do, okay? And the fact that some freaking bureaucrat came up with some process that you can't meet means that you have to stay in your country, which, oh, by the way, the United States might have messed up your country, first of all. So, I mean, so I heard a guy on Fox News the other day saying, some of these countries on the Trump ban list don't even have governments. It's like, okay, Johnny come lately, maybe back up with the truck a little bit and see what happened to their government. Oh, was it the United States and NATO and their allies freaking destroyed it? Like, maybe it is, okay? So, I'm just saying, for people making this argument in favor of legal immigration, I really want you to have some introspection, see what it is that you're getting behind, and I really doubt it's what you think, and I also doubt that it's just. Anyway, human component. We need to watch out for this. I'm afraid that the Libertarians are going to get labeled as neo-Nazis. Because the people that are already being labeled this way, they're really not that extreme or dangerous or anything like that. So, anyway, that's it. Long live stream. Again, I'm kind of benchmarking my system. If you enjoyed this, share it. If you happen to see us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up or whatever. And thanks for watching.